When leaders hesitate, standards drift. There's a pattern I see repeatedly when I'm working with leaders. They believe their biggest challenge is confidence, and they tell themselves that they just need to feel more certain before they can make a decision. But in my experience, confidence is rarely the real issue here. The real issue is hesitation. Many capable leaders already know what needs to happen. They can see the performance gap, the conversation that needs to occur, or the direction the team actually needs to move in. Yet they pause. They ask for more information. They revisit the issue again later. They tell their team, leave it with me. Sometimes that pause is powerful, but sometimes it's something else entirely. A quiet internal negotiation. And when leaders hesitate, something subtle begins to happen. Standards drift. Leadership authority rarely disappears overnight. It drifts, and hesitation rarely shows up in dramatic moments. It appears in small decisions that seem harmless at the time. A postponed conversation, a softened boundary, a decision we promise to revisit later. But teams feel those moments immediately. Over time, hesitation creates ambiguity, and ambiguity quietly lowers the standard people hold themselves to. I once worked with a CEO who was struggling with a relatively simple decision. One of their managers had suggested trialing a new idea to improve engagement across the team. The CEO liked the idea, but he really hesitated. He felt really uncomfortable about approving the trial because they didn't know yet exactly how the process was going to work. Each time the manager asked about it, the CEO gave the same response. Leave it with me. The CEO believed, as the leader, they should already have the solution. But the team did not need the CEO to solve the problem. They simply needed permission to explore the idea and work through the details for themselves. Instead, the hesitation blocked progress. Even more than that, the manager became really frustrated and eventually began exploring other job opportunities because they felt their expertise and ideas weren't valued by the boss. Ironically, when the CEO realised they might lose that manager, they agreed to trial the idea, and the result was remarkable. Engagement improved significantly, and employee retention increased by more than 30%. The shift was simple. The leaders stopped believing they needed to have the answers and started trusting the team to help create it. I see a similar pattern when leaders delay addressing performance concerns. In another organisation, I worked with a team manager who had a staff member whose behaviour was beginning to affect the entire group. They were arriving late, leaving early, and their attitude toward customers had become increasingly negative. The manager knew the issue existed, but she hesitated to address it because the employee was dealing with a lot of personal things at the time. So she wanted to be supportive of the team member. She believed she was protecting the individual. What she didn't realise was that her silence was sending a message to the rest of the team that the standard was flexible. Over time, frustration built across the group. Morale dropped, productivity declined, and respect for the manager slowly eroded. What began as an act of kindness quietly undermined the culture she had worked hard to build. Hesitation can also show up in another form, control. I worked with a manager who believed maintaining high standards meant teaching team members exactly how every task should be completed. Instead of explaining the outcome she wanted the team to achieve, she focused on the exact process she preferred. When team members approached the tasks differently, she retrained them again and again. Eventually, several experienced staff members asked to move across to a different department. They felt their judgment was not trusted. When the manager began sharing the broader vision and trusting the team to find their own way to the outcome, something changed. Innovation increased, ownership improved, and the pressure she felt as a leader reduced significantly. Clarity replaced control. Across all of these situations, one pattern appears again and again. Leaders rarely hesitate because they lack capability. More often they hesitate because they are protecting something. Approval, harmony, control, or the belief that leaders should always have the answers. The moment leaders recognize this pattern, the question changes. Instead of asking, "What should I do here?" a more powerful question is this: what would the leader I say I am do in this moment? Leadership confidence rarely appears before action. More often, it follows it. So if you find yourself saying, "Leave it with me," more often than necessary, it might be worth asking yourself why. Is the hesitation about needing more clarity? Or is it about protecting something that feels uncomfortable to address? Every delayed decision quietly teaches the team something about what is acceptable. And over time, those small moments shape the culture far more than we realise. Leadership authority doesn't collapse overnight, it drifts. And the moment we stop negotiating with ourselves and start choosing the leader we want to be, standards rise again.